So my name is Slava. I'm here to replace my teammate Kahal, who unfortunately can't do this today. And my topic will be about how to run IP promos for your game. Yeah. So my deck is about best practices for running IP promotions. And organic question you would have is why Unity Ads spends second presentation in a row about IP. So the reason why, and there are like a few of them, but two key of them are, first of all, we have really cool tech I'll mention at the end of my presentation, which mostly will be about like educational part. It's not game design course, a game balancing course, which will take like probably a couple of weeks to attend, not half an hour definitely. Second point is we continue to move to like educational way, not just like promote our cool stuff just as a tech company. So, and I have like really packed agenda for half an hour. And when I started to work on the content, I asked myself, how would I approach like such a big question of how to run best IP promotions, how to grow your IP revenue in a simple way. And then we will go through this question over those three questions. Like what to sell, what kind of stuff do you have in your game to sell, how to sell, like time-wise, segmentation-wise, message-wise, and when. Should it be tied to just like Christmas or Halloween, or should it be like every day based on progression, etc. And then I'll mention again, like I have one slide, nothing boring, mentioning what cool stuff we have in our hands to help you to improve your IP economies. So shall we start? What to sell? That's a big question. The reason why I stepped to the area of making like educational deck about IP promotions is that we started to roll out personalized placement as a product a time ago, and then I pretty quickly realized that many studios, smaller size than like EA or Miniclip, don't actually have a big experience of how to boost IP, how to run promotions, how to make special offers. And it worked well 5 years ago when we just started to roll out rewarded video on the market, when the most workable strategy was just to send 10 best examples of how rewarded video is done in big games. And since that, like in the 3 years, all market knows how to run rewarded video. I barely have any request in my email asking like, guys, could you please help me to understand what is the best placement in my game to run rewarded video? So probably now it's the time to talk about how to make offers, how to run and increase your IP economy. And what to sell is an important question. Basically, there are three main things, three main categories of stuff you can sell in game. First of all is consumables. What is consumables? It's stuff player can spend in your game to get some progression. So the most basic example of that is soft currency. It could be also materials. It depends on your game genre. It depends on your game. It depends on how many currencies do you have, etc. And this is the easiest way to make sales in your game. So basically, it could be material bundle. It could be cash pack. It could be like even hard currency pack. But like hard currency is somewhere between consumables, non-consumables. And the only one really downside of selling consumables is pay-to-win perception, which is like everywhere in free-to-play, right? So when the game is free-to-play, any payment is actually pay-to-win, most often, except some genres which I'll mention later. Though selling consumables is easy to design, it's low cost to produce, and it's repeatable. So you can sell a bunch of cash on level 5, you can sell a bunch of cash on level 10, you can continue to make even small transactions from quite a big audience of your game to help them to progress, to compete, and to achieve better results. Another thing you can sell is game progressors. Game progressors is characters, is weapon, is non-repeatable things you can provide to your player to progress faster comparing to other players, or to progress faster comparing to not having game progressors. First basic example is hard currency. crystals, diamonds, whatever you sell. Gold. Purchase motivation is high because you usually sell game progressors at the stage of the game where you can, when you first time or like next time, trick your player hard. At the level when your player fails a few times. Doesn't matter, do you make shooter game, match 3 game, casual game, or hardcore game. There are quite a few areas like where player just jumped on the next league or passed the level 10 or wherever, where you make the game pretty tricky to pass the level from the first attempt. Good thing about game progressors, it's a lot of design and bundle space. So you can bundle a lot of hard currency, soft currency, material stuff, weapon, characters, skins, everything, and make a great offer. Downsides. So first of all, you need to make sure that actually free-to-play works. Otherwise, it will be just pure pay-to-win. So you can continue to offer game progressors, but when it comes especially to multiplayer games, please make sure that free-to-play works more or less fairly. You can allow your players to, who make purchases in your game to progress slightly faster, but don't make it unfair. Be careful. Third thing is cosmetics. And the best example of cosmetics is like, who of you played Apex Legends or Fortnite? Who didn't? Right? Who never raised your hands? Okay, pretty shy audience. So basically, a lot of multiplayer games which are skill-based are all about cosmetics. Game development studios sell skins, which don't change players' ability to win. They don't change players' ability to progress faster. It's just like cosmetics. A good example in racing game could be to sell some really nice and shiny car, which no one can take without paying money. Or it could be, I don't know, some beautiful decoration for, I don't know, for the town in billiard game. It could be some cool decoration, even like in gardenscapes and games like this. It could be a nice puppy in even survival game. So in general, decoration doesn't influence progression most often. It's just skins. It's just about show up in front of other players. Lower engineering cost, though the biggest challenge is your game must have really deep core game loop. So if your game is not for day 60 retention, if your game is not for half a year retention, most probably your players will not be interested in cosmetics. If your game is just like hyper casual stuff for, I don't know, a couple of days, then people don't care. Also, higher art cost. So when it comes to cosmetics, people expect to have like really shiny car for money they pay, or they expect to have like really cool stuff they wanted to put on the map in building game, or like, I don't know, any meta game of match 3. So that's the downside. So 3 things you can sell. And basically, if you don't have one of those in your game, that gives you a space to think about, can I actually create cosmetics for my game? How big is my retention? Can I use the strategy to improve my retention, to improve my payments, to improve my game economy? Second question, how? How to get an attention? What distincts bad promotion from good promotion? So when it comes to creatives for IP promotion, it's also important not to make just weird banner with like big line of, I don't know, 40% off. You must work hard to A/B, to make it properly, basically. I mean, as any ad, IP ad is probably the toughest, because when it comes to, I don't know, installing a game, you run a banner campaign and the conversion rate could be like lower, but the audience of 7 billion people on Earth will bring you some installs. When it comes to just monetizing players you have on your game, you must work even harder to convince them to get an attention, to click on the banner, to buy stuff. And there are a few important bits and pieces you should keep in mind when you make creatives for IP promotions. First of all, anchor price. How many times you found yourself in a shop buying stuff just because it's like old price crossed and new price is highlighted? Did you ever? Yeah, many times. How many times you bought stuff you don't need just because it was on sale? Yeah, it works. It's just psychology. Like highlight bonus. Bigger bonus, more people willing to spend. Bigger bonus, more probability that the player will decide to spend. Extra special bonus. People probably don't even think about how regular they are as a player. But if you just like address your banner to a particular player, make it special, this small psychological thing can change the game. And like play with colors and like do some experiments. So basically, keep in mind that running IP promotion creative-wise is even tougher than just acquire users and make a creative for ad campaign. Because again, when it comes to ad campaign, you have a lot of chances. 7 billion people can watch your ad, and some of them will convert. Conversion rate could be lower than average, but still you have a lot of chances to convert. When it comes to IP promo, you have only your players to work with. And conversion rate is on you. And feel free to experiment. Is it promo good or bad? It's just the same one banner, same opportunity, offers two different, but even like price-wise, it's different. $2 or £2 or £3. And offers are slightly different in terms of composition. Here's like materials and cards and some upgrades, and here's just cash. So addresses two different audiences of your game. So be creative, try different things, make different offers, and work hard on your creatives. Now it's task for you. Wake up, spot the difference. Raise the hand, spot the difference. What is the difference between those two? Yeah. Who knows which of those work better? Any opinion? Yeah, I mean, just two options, guys and girls. Yeah, not necessarily. I don't know. Sometimes 40% works better, sometimes 5x value works better. The goal of the slide is actually A/B everything. Banner for IP promotion is as important as the icon in the store. It's as important as your ad creative. As any creative, it's important to A/B, to try different hypotheses, to run different creatives, and choose the best one which is converting well. And then, what does it mean converting well? What is the benchmark? Do you know how to measure IP creative performance? What could be the metrics, except revenue? But I mean, when it comes to revenue, it's like yesterday was today. You didn't have promotion, you have promotion today. Revenue grew up probably because of new traffic or some whale or whatever. What could be the metrics for IP performance? So basically, surprisingly, because IP promotion banner is a regular banner, it's just an ad, not of outside stuff, but the game you sell, the stuff you sell in your game. So metrics are the same. Magically, they are the same. Click-through rate, amount of times players clicked on the banner and not just skipped it, and conversion rate. How many times showed impression of IP offer finished by purchase? And this slide would be pretty useful and basic without pretty important numbers. So those numbers are given by a couple of my colleagues who used to work for Kabam, EA, Warner Brothers Games, and like other bigger studios in Americas. So basically, any bigger studios, they don't run after A/B, they don't run a promotion with a conversion rate less than 0.5%. Which is a lot. Imagine you have 100,000 DIU in your game. You shoot impression per each player for 3 days once. And 0.5% of that converts to purchase. Multiply it even by a couple of bucks gives you pretty nice revenue uplift. Of course, preparation of work about what to run and how to design the banner is important, but that's the target. Conversion rate of like 1%, 1.5% is achievable. Below 0.5%, work harder. Click-through rate is not as important because it's not video format. You don't need to achieve end card, and some people can still click and skip. Don't finish the purchase. Don't put the finger on top of like finger wherever. Didn't confirm the transaction or don't have enough money on the card. But then conversion rate must be higher than 0.5%. And then another important question: when to sell. And many of you probably tried to run starter kits. First conversion to payer is very, very important moment in a game. It gives you nice bump in LTV, especially if your game is like half ads, half IP monetized, so you have like pretty nice and smoothly growing LTV curve with ads. And then it's the first opportunity on level 5 or level 3 or level 2, wherever, somewhere in the game, you make first offer to a player. What is cool about this banner? Any opinion? We are all already experts after 15 minutes of this deck about the banners. So it's really personable. It's a special offer. It doesn't have value, which is a small mistake, but not crucial. One time only. This offer will not appear anymore. It's just for you, one time, unique opportunity to spend your $1. It's really cool. It works well. I know the numbers. It works really well. Though, if you will just concentrate on your starter kits, that will give you, again, your LTV curve will grow, ads, and then first starter kit purchased by some people, and then your LTV most probably will more or less flatten. So you must think about what are other points on your game, in progression on your game, where you can make a next offer. And this banner is actually pretty cool. So level 5, adventurer, not basic, not trainee, not starter, but like already made some progression, probably already did some purchases based on like currency balance after like 5 levels. And then you can pack and make an offer of bundle, meaningful bundle. Somewhere, I don't know, after a day or two of gameplay, you can make a meaningful bundle when all the currencies are introduced, when all the abilities are introduced, where all the power-ups are introduced, where everything already known by the player, pretty much everything. Then you have a second opportunity to offer something. And then somewhere deeper on that day, I don't know, day 5, day 7, you have the next one. So when you will start to think, how will I run my IP promo, feel free to start from starter pack. It will be a nice experiment to you to compare IP performance of just a store, having a store in your game, comparing to having a starter pack. It will give you some LTV uplift. Though, think and plan deeper where further in your game you can offer something else. Where further in your game you can give some players opportunity to spend money in it. And then, timing-wise, it's also important to keep in mind all seasons. So it could be like Europe's Day. It could be regular stuff like Christmas, Halloween, wherever, I don't know, Memory Day in America, Europe's Day in Europe. But then, if your game is popular, even in like low-paying markets like Brazil or Indonesia, keep in mind they have their own events, they have own celebrations, and then don't forget about like Lunar New Year. Don't forget about Vietnamese New Year. Don't forget about Brazilian World Cup. Don't forget about Memory Day in Argentina. It's important. In those days, people have vacation, kids have the small like pocket money gifts, and it can bring you some boost on IP side. So use small local things to boost your IP. Even in like low-paying markets like Mexico or Brazil, you can get nice 10, 20, 30% uplift in your pocket. And then also one more important thing to mention, is this exercise is not one-time feature. It's not one thing you can work once and then become rich and go to Bahamas. It doesn't work this way. Like every ad creative, it works for a short period of time. Of course, if your game has, I don't know, 50 millions of daily active users, it's easier for you. Though probably you spend a lot on UA, then you still need to work hard every week, every month, and renew your creatives, renew your promotions. Think hard about how to get your players to the idea to play in your game. This is indication of one creative being enabled in one game, mid-core, survival. And then, as you can see, since the creative was launched, conversion rate was actually pretty high. It was way above 0.5%. But then, because the audience of the game is like 50,000, 60,000 players, most of them have seen the banner for like 3-4 times in the next like few days. People who were willing to buy, they bought. So this creative and this promo is not relevant for them anymore. Of course, it will be like a long tail of a couple of weeks when people who don't play the game every day will continue to see the banner, and then they will probably like buy from 5th or 6th or 10th attempt of showing them the same promo. But then the people who bought, they will not repeat the purchase. So you must work for them to help them to make purchase again, to make them a whale, to make them a dolphin, to make them not one-time payer, but multiple-time payer. So yeah, refresh. So basically, from this slide, you can jump to the slide 1, think again about consumables, game progressors, cosmetics, when to run, how to make creative, how to run. So, and then, as I promised, there is a slide about what kind of tag we have. And it's not about actually a tag. It's just how to target and serve. I talked to many developers, and my team talked to many developers about how they run IP promotions. And those studios could be like a couple of people studio or like huge companies like Ubisoft and Miniclip. And basically, the most common case is developers hard code all the promos into the game. Because when it comes to delivering creative to the player, neither Apple nor Google don't allow you to deliver stuff to your game without check, right? So you either need to build your own framework to deliver banners, or you need to use some tag. And the downside of hard-coded into the game is a lot of them, but at least two. First of all, when it comes to Christmas, Halloween, etc., the queue for approval is pretty long. So you must submit your game build with all the promotions enabled, and especially when it comes to local things like Lunar New Year, Argentinian Defense Day, wherever, you must think really in advance, a few months in advance, and hard-code all the content, and then you lose an opportunity to actually use some local hype. It could be local hype, like some YouTube rising superstar who is now famous, whom you can put like as a potential attractor, or like use some hypey phrases appeared yesterday from, I don't know, TV or some event happening in politics. So hard-coded is hard to do, must, and goes with like really in advanced planning, as well as it doesn't give you flexibility of control. So when it's in the game, you're out of control. The only way you can change it most often is just to re-upload the build, get an approval. When it's not an issue with Google, but it could take up to a week or two with Apple. Another approach, and basically like those two, like how to build, how to run promotions. So one is one size fits all. Cool. So one size fits all approach is when you have one starter pack and you don't care whether you have whales or dolphins or small pairs or non-pairs. You just run $2 for a starter pack, which is fair enough, which is nice attempt, which will bring you some revenue, but it's not the optimal thing. You can try to push multiple price point, experiment, and then segment users, use funnels of analytics, etc., and then push different promos, especially not just starter pack, but like later on in the progression. And then for that, you need either a dedicated person or a team who will work on like what kind of funnels do you have? How big is your whale? Is it $10, $100, $1,000? And it doesn't, I mean, you can try this strategy. It's not the most effective. It works somehow. But it doesn't work like as effective as it could be. And it requires a lot of resources and attention. I'm not saying that like creating creatives for IP promotion doesn't, but it does require a lot of special dedicated people. What we do have? We have IP promo framework and personalized placement. What is that? So basically you can upload your creatives and run your campaigns from the dashboard. Doesn't require update the build. You can run and stop, turn on, turn off, adjust, change creatives on the go. It's ML driven, no cold start, so Unity does know a lot of data about like players' behavior, etc., etc. So it's a really convenient way of running IP promotions, though my promotional part about Unity Tech is going to over. What's the next steps? First of all, we have a whole team of like 7, 8 people from Unity ads here at the event. You have seen Katin, Ilya, and Sylvia here already. Though we have a booth on the 3rd floor, please meet us. And there are a couple of, I did bit.ly short links where to read about stuff. So personalized placement and IP promotion, including video how to set up, what is that, is at bit.ly Unity PP. Unity blog about how to work on your IP promotions is also available. Read this. We will continue to fill it with really cool content, probably including some version of this deck. And then, yeah, meet us. We are going to be at the event all 3 days. Talk to us if you're interested. Thanks a lot.